Snow jokes, snow day jokes. Short snow jokes. Q. What do you get from sitting on the snow too long? A. Polaroids. Q. What's an IG? A. Snow house without a loo. Q. Why did Frosty the Snowman want a divorce? A. Because he thought his wife was a flake. Q. Why does it take longer to build a blonde snowman than a regular one? A. You have to hollow out the head. Q. What do snowmen eat for lunch? A. Icebergers. Q. What time is it when little white flakes fall past the classroom window? A. Snow and tell. Q. If the sun shines while it's snowing, what should you look for? A. Snowbows. Q. If you live in an igloo made of snow, what's the worst thing about global warming? A. No privacy. Q. What do you call 10 Arctic hares hopping backwards through the snow? Together. A. A receding hairline. Q. How do you keep the snow from giving you cold feet? A. Don't go around barefooted. Q. What do you call a gangsta snowman? A. Froze tea. Q. What kind of math do snowy owls like? A. Algebra. Q. How do you know if there's a snowman in your bed? A. You wake up wet. Q. What do you call a snowboarder with no girlfriend/boyfriend? A. Homeless. Q. What is the difference between a snowboard instructor and a snowboard student? A. 3 days. Q. Where does a snowman keep his money? A. In a snow bank. Q. What do snowmen eat for breakfast? A. Frosted flakes. Q. What is a mountain's favorite type of candy? A. Snow caps. Q. What do you call a snowman with a six-pack? A. An abdominal snowman. Q. What do you call an old snowman? A. Water. Q. What do you get when you cross a snowman and a vampire? A. Frostbite. Q. What did the snowman eat? A. Icebergs with chili sauce. Q. What did the snowman and his wife put over their baby's crib? A. Snowmobile. Q. What do snowmen call their offspring? A. Children. Q. How does a snowman get to work? A. Bicycle. Snowy bar jokes. Cold winter. The Indians asked their chief in autumn if the winter was going to be cold or not. Not really knowing an answer, the chief replies that the winter was going to be cold with lots of snow and that the members of the village were to collect wood to be prepared. Being a good leader, he then went to the next phone booth and called the National Weather Service and asked, "Is this winter to be cold?" The man on the phone responded, "This winter is going to be quite cold." Indeed. So the chief went back to speed up his people to collect even more wood to be prepared. A week later he called the National Weather Service. Again, "Is it going to be a very cold winter?" "Yes," the man replied, "it's going to be a very cold winter." So the chief goes back to his people and orders them to go and find every scrap of wood they can find. 2 weeks later he calls the National Weather Service again, "Are you absolutely sure that the winter is going to be very cold?" "Absolutely," the man replies, "the Indians are collecting wood like crazy." New England home. My husband and I purchased an old home in northern New York State from 2 elderly sisters. Winter was fast approaching and the year's first snow came early and I was concerned about the house's lack of insulation. "If they could live here all those years, so can we," my husband confidently declared. One November night the temperature plunged to below zero, and we woke up to find interior walls covered with frost. My husband called the sisters to ask how they had kept the house warm. After a rather brief conversation, he hung up. "For the past 30 years, he muttered, "they've gone to Florida for the winter." Earmuffs. Winters are fierce in Minnesota where he lives, so the owner of a construction project felt he was doing a good deed when he bought earmuffs for his foreman. Noticing, however, that the foreman wasn't wearing the earmuffs even on the coldest snowy day, the project manager asked, "Didn't you like the muffs?" The foreman said, "They're a thing of beauty. Why don't you wear them?" The project manager said. The foreman explained, "I was wearing them the first day, and somebody offered to buy me lunch, but I didn't hear him. Never again, never again." Snow plow. A blonde driving a car became lost in a snowstorm. She didn't panic, however, because she remembered what her dad had once told her. If you ever get stuck in a snowstorm, just wait for a snow plow to come by and follow it. Sure enough, pretty soon a snow plow came by, and she started to follow it. She followed the plow for about 45 minutes. Finally, the driver of the truck got out and asked her what she was doing. And she explained that her dad had told her if she ever got stuck in a snowstorm, to follow a plow. The driver nodded and said, "Well, I'm done with the Walmart parking lot, do you want to follow me over to Best Buy now?" It was so snowy that hitchhikers were holding up pictures of thumbs. Roosters were rushing into Kentucky Fried Chicken and begging to use the pressure cooker. When I dialed 911, a recorded message said to phone back in the spring. The optician was giving away free snow scrapers with every new pair of eyeglasses. Kids were using a new excuse to stay up late, but Mom, my pajamas haven't thawed out yet. Richard Simmons started wearing pants. A streaker froze in mid-streak. The town council just stuck a plaque on him and pretended he was a Greek statue until spring. UN weapons inspectors suddenly decided that chemical weapons might be hidden in Hawaii. Pickpockets were sticking their hands in strangers' pockets just to keep them warm. The squirrels in the park were throwing themselves at an electric fence. My dad was wearing golfing gloves on both hands. The dogs were wearing cats. Starbucks was serving coffee on a stick. People with traffic tickets would plead guilty and beg for the electric chair. Terrorists started to stockpile weapons-grade hot chocolate. Levi Strauss started manufacturing electric jeans. The rats were bribing the alley cats for a snuggle. We had to chop up the piano for firewood, but we only got 2 cords. We had to carry around hammers and chisels so we could get out of our parkas. When we milked the cows, we got ice cream. When we milked the brown cows, we got chocolate ice cream. Words froze in the air. If you wanted to hear what someone said, you had to grab a handful of sentences and take them in by the fire. The dogs had to put jumper cables on the rabbits, just to get them running. Playboy magazine stopped publishing because no women would take their clothes off. We pulled everything out of the freezer and huddled inside it to warm up. The Husky Association was making emergency service calls to get the dog teams started. When we parked the sled, we either had to plug in the dogs, or keep them running in place.